them. But the first one off the bat, not too much of a surprise, was Will Anderson Jr., but how he got there was a bit of a surprise. He went pick 3 to Houston, who made a huge deal, trading their own 2024 first, along with other stuff, to move up to that spot. I think it was from 12 with Arizona, which is a huge jump, and they got picks 2 and 3, took C.J. Stroud, of course, first, and then Will Anderson. My question for you, Austin, we've sort of beaten the Will Anderson horse to death at this point. Are you comfortable having him be more of a hand-in-the-dirt defensive end, if that is sort of what he ends up playing there in Houston? Because that is sort of the base defense that they have there. You think you're taking him as an edge guy, that's where he would be, but he didn't do a whole lot of that at Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be fine with it. And the reason is I think I don't want to put Will Anderson in a box and say, well, this is what he does. And then if he's asked to do anything different, then that's going to change his game. I think the thing that he does best, and we talked about this whenever we covered Will Anderson pre-draft, was, one of the things I said about him is like the football IQ. When you watch the film, there's just something about what he does that you can tell that no one else is doing. And it's not a matter of, physical attributes and physicality and speed. It's not all of those things. It's the way he plays the game, the way he approaches the game. You can tell that mentally he's like a step above everyone else in college football, in my opinion. It's insane. And the numbers showed that over the course of his career, especially of course in 2021. I don't really have any concerns. I mean, I think he's got the size and the strength and all the, physical tools to be, fine with his hand in the dirt or as a linebacker. I think he can drop into coverage and do different things that are really rare skill sets. But I think asking him to be a traditional defensive end, in my opinion, I don't really have any qualms with it. I think he can find ways to be just as productive in that position as he would as an outside linebacker.
Yeah, and with a smart defensive-minded head coach there, certainly they're going to want to be putting him in. I'm sure they have plans to put him in a position to succeed no matter how they use him. So just an interesting thought I had based on sort of a change of how he was used in college.
It's certainly interesting, though. It's certainly interesting.
The next IDP sort of relevant player, of course, the second defensive player was cornerback Devon Witherspoon to Seattle. But then we got Tyree Wilson. Looks like he's going to be more of an outside linebacker, which he was in college too. Going to the Las Vegas Raiders, where it seems like he's going to be learning from Chandler Jones to eventually be across from Max Crosby, which is certainly a nice place to be in terms of defense. Is not focusing on you right off the bat, and learning from Chandler Jones is certainly a good thing too for his development. How do you feel about that landing spot?
Not only Chandler Jones, but Max Crosby. I mean, people are going to say they hate this landing spot, but I actually really like it for Tyree Wilson, and I like the fact that he is going to have two veterans that he can learn from and sort of start to feel his way through the NFL. I think he's NFL ready today. Do I think he needs time? No, not necessarily, but I think it's always a good thing. And I think that it's interesting because Chandler Jones is kind of like a comp to Tyree Wilson, right? With the size, the length, all of the things that Tyree Wilson brings to the table physically. I think their games are kind of similar, and he does fit probably honestly more of a traditional edge rusher role than a linebacker, despite playing more of an outside linebacker role in college, which I think he could get away with. I'm not so sure he could get away with that at the NFL level, but he is an elite pass rusher. And I am really excited still for Tyree Wilson, despite the landing spot. But I really felt like, and you're going to probably hear this, all night on the shows, I really feel like there were a lot of players that I was like really excited about pre-draft. And then when the draft was over, I was like, the NFL just hates fantasy football. And that's the way it feels like it went. Offense and defense are one and the same in that regard. So I don't know. I think long-term too, I'm still in on Tyree Wilson. I really like what he brings to the table.
And he does have that flexibility like Chandler Jones. You had mentioned where early in Chandler's career, he was a defensive end for the Patriots. And, he can sort of play both positions. And Wilson can even go down on that line, on the clear pass rushing downs and play off the line with still Crosby and Chandler off the edge. So Certainly gives them another pass rushing option that they're going to need in that division.